All right, we are live. Okay, I think I have everything set up. Those of you that are just joining me now, thank you for being here. I'm just kind of hanging out today, and we're just going to go through whatever I can go through. Let's see here if I can see. Yeah. So here's the Q&A session. Everyone's welcome to jump into the chat to see that. So what I'll do is I'll take this description here. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so I appreciate your patience on this. Hello, Emily the Budgie. I think I see you. It's gonna go ahead and do a little notepad here. All right, and I'll put the notes down here. Maybe up here so I can see them too. Or how about next to me? Right here. Right there. Good, good. All right. Mm-hmm. So if you're just joining me, thank you for being here. I'm just kind of hanging out. You're welcome to jump into the chat. We're going to go through a couple of ideas and just a couple of things here. While this is happening, I'm going to go ahead and fix this stream. Apparently, OBS doesn't like me to use a stream bit rate that's that high. Let's try. Let's try that. Hopefully that makes a difference. Otherwise, it is what it is. Okay, move my. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Let's go ahead and make this a little smaller. Right there. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. Hmm. Do, do, do. Welcome, everyone. If you're just joining me, thank you for being here. I think I'm all set up and ready to go. It's about 8 o'clock and should be okay. Let's see here. Stream is healthy. Okay, I'll leave it like this. Seems like it's okay. So, welcome. You are welcome to jump into the chat. This is a open-ended live session. It will not be posted later on or available for view. It's just a live session. In this case, I'll be talking a little bit about future videos, some different ideas, projects, music pedagogy, theory appreciation if needed, possible Patreon and Discord for my own channel, and then also website updates as well as a possible improvised live reaction session at the end if you would like that. It all depends on who is here in the chat and ready to go. And so, welcome everyone. Let's see here. I believe. Wonder if I can do something really quick. So let's go to the side for one screen really quick here. I think that'll work for now. There we go. And then I'll be right back. I'm just going to jump on a couple of things. See if I can grab anyone else that would like to be here. This is a live stream that's going on. Okay. Gotta send this out. For some reason, I believe there were some issues with the there we go. But yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see, Shaw. I can't really read that from here, but thank you. Thank you for being here. I think Shaw Branigdo, Nido. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. But yeah. This is it's been a while since I've done a live stream, and I'm just kind of going through some ideas, some music that I've been working on, different concepts or whatnot. Shab, thank you. I appreciate that. My name is not exactly easy to discern when I first start too. So even though it's spelled like thou, it's pronounced too. And that's an interesting story for another time in this case. So you'll notice that we are blank on the other side just to kind of help make sure that if there are some things going on here that I at least protect the privacy of the people that are here. But I'm going to change the screen back in a little bit here. But yeah, thank you for being here. If you haven't known already, this is just a live stream, kind of like a hangout area for us. And if you have questions, go ahead and ask. I'll be focusing on future videos, some projects that I'm currently working on, Patreon and Discord, which may be a new thing as well. And also, if there's enough time, I might even consider an improvised live reaction session at the end. Stella, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So we have a small list here of just some ideas. I don't know if you can read that from here, but I'll go ahead and let me see if I can open up the screen again for all of you. It's interesting because I'm also experiencing seeing a delay as well with everything. So that should open up the screen and we should be good there. But yeah, feel free to just jump in, whatever. Any questions? I think for me, so far from everyone's feedback, is the idea of more reaction videos. I know Dimash has been a huge increase in my videos, and I think that's probably part of the direction, including other artists as well that I can focus on in this case. But yeah, some really interesting things going on there. You'll see a project that I'm working on right now is actually video game music, and I'm a huge fan of anything video games, music specifically, and just how video games and music, how they all work together, and it's a part of what I do on the side as well. So it's a lot of fun. Yes, Dimash has been an amazing journey for me, just listening to all of his performances and whatnot. I think what I may do is, if you all hang with me for a little bit here, I might do a live reaction, and so we'll just jump in the chat, just throw whatever in the chat, and I'll see if we can go through it, and I'll kind of show you the process of how I really do things as well. And typically, what I do is it's all in the moment. And Stella, thank you so much for that. And my analyses, the evaluations, I feel that yes, I can spend an entire week or just like a big amount of time to work on them, but sometimes it may not work. So, and other times it may just be what do you call that? Other times I just have to. I feel like working on it in the moment is best in this case, and so. And you'll have to forgive the delay. If there is a huge delay, it might be my settings here. That's kind of messed up. So if you are seeing a delay on the right-hand side of the screen, that could just be me as opposed to you in this case. So hopefully you can hang with me while I'm doing this. Right now, I'm just going to work on a little bit of some music here. And we can talk about it too. So this piece that I'm currently finishing up is from the video game Castlevania, which is a Nintendo Entertainment System video game. And what I did was I have the original right here in this case. And this original sounds like this. This is the introduction, the opening scene or the opening credits of the video game. And it's always drawn to me because the ability to create such a full sound in just the idea of what do you call that? With just really 3 instruments and some sound effects, which is typically the drum, the drum part or the percussion part of it, really just kind of draws me in quite a bit in this case. So I'm gonna play a little bit of it for you right here. And so that's just the introduction, and you have this amazing sound at the very beginning. So what I did was, anytime I listen to video game music, I always try to listen for the melody first. And what I have here is, let's see here, if I can go to it. So we have the cello that begins. What I did was I put the melody on the cello, in this case, right here, the cello solo. So if I unmute it, take off the solo and leave the original muted, here's what we have for cello. And then the rest of the instruments come in. And so what I like to do is I like to approach this just like I would an orchestra or a choir that I typically work with. And what I'll do is I'll show you the difference between the two, and we'll just kind of play that back a little bit. Here's the original, and I'll just kind of toggle between the original and the new one, or the possible new track that hopefully I can release soon. So here's the original. And cello. So here I'm using, right about there, I am using the harp as well as the harpsichord, and here's the original, what the original sounds like. So let's go back a little bit, and then we'll toggle between the two. And so this is such a powerful introduction just for a video game when you think about it. And yes, exactly. The harpsichord is definitely featured in Symphony of the Night, which is part of where I'm drawing this from, even subconsciously when I'm thinking about Castlevania. And when you consider the idea of Castlevania, of this concept of of Dracula being the first, really, really a very classy, what do you call that? What's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for an actual word, like in terms of class. Like he's not just like some person. He has a lot of class. He's somewhat of an elite. He's even, and not only is he wealthy, we would assume that he's wealthy. I mean, you know the joke that goes on. If you've been alive for this long, hopefully you've acquired some sort of wealth, right? A wealth in this case. And whenever I hear the harpsichord as well as the harp, there's just something that just draws me to that classical feel, and it's very fitting for this introduction. I like what they do with the sound, in that just the Nintendo is able to kind of give off those vibes, the percussion, the articulation. Right, so we are definitely not dealing with a string instrument or a sustained type of instrument. And then the melody. And so the problem that I run into is that when I overload the system, which I have, if you see all these instruments here, these are all of the instruments that I have. Just um, yeah, those that's just most of the instruments there. And so what's happening right now is that my computer, unfortunately, is running out of, has messed up with the sustain, and you'll notice as opposed to which is where the second cellos are coming in. So what I'm gonna have to do is, unfortunately, I will have to close this, quit this really quick. Let's do don't save, and I'll load it up again with Logic. But thank you, yeah, and it's I'll play you the next part really quick here once it loads back up. And I've been running into issues with the Mac, the M1, and with the new updates. For whatever reason, it's been hasn't been too kind with everything. Like my keyboard is out. I haven't been able to get that to work, and it feels like it's been a month since. But let's see if I can. Okay, there we go. Now we're back. And I have to actually run it in Rosetta mode, which is unfortunate because there's a performance hit as well. And now it has to load everything. Okay, now we are full screen. Let's see if I can pull that back down. There we go. So I'll let that play again. The instruments that I'm using are from East West, which is a company where I pay a monthly fee, and I have access to all of their instruments, and I really enjoy them. I don't feel like they are like the very, very top end. At the same time, I know that they're really good, and you can probably, with a lot of work, you can get some really good sounds out of it as well. But yeah, let me go ahead, and once this loads up again, I'll go ahead and play you the whole thing from beginning to end, and yeah, let's just go from there. So let's mute this and take it from the top. There you have it. So that is the introduction. The idea is that the extra percussion is not so much it's more to emphasize all the transients in the music and the parts where I feel like they have to be even more grand than what they are, than what was presented in the video game. And so this part right here, the addition of cymbals, bass drum, timpani, really just, to me at least, brings this idea of energy and excitement, especially the part where it opens up to the full brass. This part right here. Which is my favorite part right here. And then the main thing why I really enjoy this is that there's such a beautiful melody, and I talk about melody a lot through in anything, and so thank you Stella and Emily and Shab as well. Um, I'll get to your comment in a little bit here. It's I haven't forgot about it. It's I just wanted to kind of finish this piece as well. But anyways, the idea, you know. I mean, it's just there's something about having a melody that has shape, right? It's not just da 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 da, where it's like a kind of like a nursery rhyme or something like, or a more simple piece that may or may not be have any melodic idea from the beginning. Yeah, it's not to say that everything has to have a melody, but in this case, it's just so it's already drawing me in with the lines, and then you have this amazing cello for the melody, right? So whenever I hear that, I'm really hearing a baritone or even a bass voice, right? Listening to it again. So if I were to think of this as an aria, I'm really hearing that's what I'm really hearing is the baritone, probably baritone because it goes up the octave toward the end, and it's in that higher it's in that baritone tenor range for the cello, and so yeah, very beautiful concepts here. So that's something that I've been working on. But Shab, to go back to what you were talking about, Chrono Trigger, yes, I actually so this is not something that I've broadcasted to anyone. But since you are here and you are a part of this live stream, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I've been working on as well for Chrono Trigger. And it's probably my biggest project in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and let's not save that, but let's go here to open. You get to see a little bit of all these other projects that I've been working on. And I'll show you a little sneak peek of what I'm doing here in terms of Chrono Trigger. That's a lot of tracks, huh? Because this is definitely. Let me see here. Where is it at? Did I miss it? I think I missed it. Sorry. Did I misplace it somewhere? Or save it somewhere else? I was just working on it. Oh, there we go. So Shab, this is one of my favorite themes from Chrono Trigger that I've been working on. And so let me go ahead and close this here and pull this down so you can see. And my approach is actually very different from what a lot of people do. And so since you are here, I'll kind of share some insight as to why I approached it this way and how it's effective, especially in video game and in orchestration. typically what you would hear is just a straight um, reconstruction with orchestra and the instruments, and it just plays and it sounds like it's in the video game and it's great. But what I've done, no, let's not use that. So what I've done with the wind scene, which is from 600 AD, and not representative of the map, but the 600 AD time counterpart of this, is that I've redid it to where it actually maintains the integrity of the piece. What happens is typically when I hear this, especially a lot of remakes, is that it's either very straight or it's just very so loud so soon that its it loses the beauty of and intimacy of this. And what I've done is I've also given it the solo to the soprano voice and the French horn. So I'm hoping if you're listening to this, I hope hopefully you will enjoy this as much as I have enjoyed making it, and not released, but maybe in the near future. So we'll see. We'll take it from the very beginning. There you have it. So that is the wind scene. And what I really enjoy is, or what my concept is for this part of the music that I'm working on, is to have an actual soprano soloist for the entire work. And rather than just spitting out like a copy of everything Chrono Trigger and going from there, I'm actually going to be selecting specific tracks that have meaning to the character that I will be showing. And I can't really tell you, um, I can't tell you who the character is or what the character is based on. Though I have a really, I'm pretty sure you might have a good idea. If you play the game, then you'll know who I'm referring to. So it is definitely a character in the game, and in this case. So Stella, thank you. Yes, this is a beautiful track, and that's definitely the idea that I was trying to capture. Because in the video game, what happens is, Chrono, who is the main character, bumps into this a girl at a fair. This is kind of like a quick run through of the story, and they bump into each other, and um, they both fall down, and she drops her pendant, and he goes and he picks it up, and they talk a little bit, and she joins him for just for fun at the fair, and then Chrono's friend Luca built this time machine, and so they try out this time machine, and it just everything just kind of unfolds after that, and this music actually starts playing once you go into the time machine and you go and you develop the story from there. And I don't want to talk too much about the video game because this isn't a full video game session, but the music is to reflect that idea. And I feel like sometimes the we get into video game music and we lose the integrity of music, and we focus so much on I just want a reaction. I want the game to play how I what I'm playing, which is might it may work really well for certain games. If you think of games like Doom or even some of the other like Mega Man type games where it's very linear and the music does reflect what's happening in that moment. Whereas when you're dealing with RPGs, you have to have context. You have to build the world. The music has to build the entire soundscape, landscape, and all of that. And when it reflects all of that, it becomes timeless because it becomes intentional, memorable, and it meaningful as well. So, yeah, some really cool things there. For those of you that are just joining me, thank you so much. I'm just kind of hanging out today. There's not really anything specific. If you would like to throw some questions up there, excuse me. If you would like to throw some questions into the chat, please do so at this time. I am just kind of going through some music, some ideas, and probably in about 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so, we'll talk about Patreon and Discord and some website updates, as well as toward the end, I'd like to just whatever you'd like for me to react to. I can find it. We'll download it really quick, and we'll go from there. And let's see if we can pull something together in this case. So, if not, then we don't have to do anything today either. It's kind of hard because I may have to change the sound, so you won't get you won't be able to get the immediate sound from my computer. Let me see if that's set properly. Yeah, so the music would be set to play whatever is coming from the screen, and that's probably what you hear. So you won't hear a live sound, or you'll hear a live sound through the microphone rather than through my line output, because I haven't wired it up that way just yet. So, but yeah, feel free to jump into the chat and say hello. It's kind of hard for me to tell who is here, and so I just have it on live chat, and whatever the delays are on that, my apologies. But if I do see you, and I do, I might be able to at least jump in with that case. So yeah, so that's Chrono Trigger for horn and soprano voice. And that's only one track out of, I think my plan is 20, between 18 and 20 tracks to really make it a sort of like almost a cantata in a sense. It's just the ideas that have been running through my head recently being regarding that. So very cool. Mm-hmm. See, acoustic bass. See, that's my keyboard. This is just not working. No, I'll have to use my little funny keyboard here. I guess I could use a keyboard. All right. So we are at 8:35. What I'll do right now is I'll just talk a little bit about some ideas for Patreon. So for those of you that are joining me right now, the idea of Patreon and Discord, as well as my website that I like to continue to work on, is personally for me. So if you know what I do, I perform and teach full base essentially what it feel would feel like a full time, whether it's tutoring, whether it's music, theory, appreciation, voice, pedagogy, and then I also perform on a monthly basis, sometimes bi-weekly basis, and that's part of the reason why I'm not always on here. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to open up a Patreon for all of you, for those of you that enjoy my work, for those of you that like what I do and would like to allow me to continue to bring you videos and analyses and whatnot. And I'd like to be able to do that on a more regular basis for you. And so I've contemplated the idea of a Patreon and a Discord just to, one, to help me focus and zone in on the things that you would like for me to do rather than opening it up to the entire public and then going through comments and hopefully finding something that might work and then finding the time to do it as well, because it does take a lot of time even though it's improvised in that moment. It's the mental preparation as well as the actual time away from family and everything that I like to carve out more time for you, for the patrons as well as for the viewers, to have that not only freedom of input but also the consistency of my output in this case. So right now, I mean, we have about roughly about 10 viewers right now, and you're always welcome to jump into the chat and um, say what you need to say, some suggestions. I would love suggestions before I put this out, because the really it's my intention is not to be to paywall everything to the point to where it's like, okay, you have to sign up for this to do this. What I like to do is I like to at least be able to zone in, give you quality content, and still make it a priority for you and access for you, as well as even these live streamings, make them available only for you. And then that way, the general public can still benefit from the output that you contribute to. And so those are the ideas that I've been working on, and I've hesitated I've hesitated creating a Patreon and Discord and whatnot. At the same time, I think it'll be very beneficial for the audience, for um, my students as well. And I think there are a lot of students, or my students to be, that want a little bit more coaching or a little more direction in their voice when it comes to the bass voice. And even though I do that specifically for my students, I would like to expand that a little bit more. And even though my pedagogy of it is that you should always work with a teacher that you can in person, with the available technology and just the timing and everything, I think I can at least offer services to like check-in services or voice lessons for like specific ideas that are in addition to what you normally do. And sometimes I think that's tends to sounds like that's what some people want is to just be able to say, hey, can I just take lessons for you for a couple of months to check in, make sure I'm doing everything correctly, or to focus on certain music, some ideas, even some insight in the industry, the choir industry, the yeah, and whatnot. So those are things that I like to be able to offer to you as patrons within the Discord, and also on my website that I'm also working on. So yeah, if you have any questions at this time, feel free to jump right on in. Any input is greatly, greatly appreciated. Dum, 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 dum. And while you're formulating those ideas, I'll jump on the cello. Ba-dum, da-dum, boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, dum. Do I even have that note right now? It feels a little weird. Like I have to actually warm down. So why don't I just talk about a couple of things? I know our colleague Drew, who interviewed me, I think it was last month or about a month and a half ago, and he asked the question. It was either today or some other time. What do you do to if you have like phlegm or certain things? Like for me, with allergies and everything going on right now, typically what I would do is lip trills, kind of sing through it. And if you do need to clear your throat, I recommend single, soft, and efficient clearing of the throat, which is more of like a quick cough, and it sounds like this. And what it is it's just one movement. It's not you're not clearing, you're not rolling through your vocal folds and clashing them together. It's just really open close, open close. It's very quick and it's softer on the mic. It might sound a little bit louder, but it's actually pretty soft. And what that does is it loosens everything up, and then you can warm up a little bit, and then go from there. I like using letters Z's, M's, and N's. Anything but the actual vowel itself, where it's open, anything that's closed, really helps. Lip trills are awesome. Tongue rolls helps really well. But definitely, in this case, excuse me, in this case, I would like to typically focus on things that just allow me to phonate. What I do sometimes is actually let's see here in the chat. Yes, I think I have it. Yeah, I think I have it set properly, so I should be able to see everything in this case. Um, so if you're joining me right now, um, the thing that I like to do is kind of you close your mouth and just leave a little bit of space. And what that does is you have the occlusion that you needed, blocking, but then you also have the airflow that doesn't get caught up in the tongue roll or the lip roll, which sometimes people aren't able to do it efficiently or aren't able to do it at all. So the tongue roll, some people can't do that. Lip trill, sometimes that's too hard or just very inefficient. In that case, you just keep your lips slightly parted. And what that does is it gives you the occlusion as well as the airflow needed And I use it for really, really low notes. I use it to train the CT muscle, which is the stretching muscle of the voice. Zzz. And it's where the weight and the connection, the pitch stability, as well as the length of the folds, is where all of that comes in. It does also thin out your folds because you are stretching it. And at the same time, that's where you need to find balance, right? So we are right here and we are singing. So about an A. Ooh, 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 ooh. And so I can kind of just zone in through those ideas. And I'm not worried about projection. I'm not worried about how does it sound. I'm really just stretching and warming up, right? You don't go on the basketball court during the game and start stretching. You do all your stretches before pregame and hopefully a warm down post game as well. So that's what I do sometimes to warm up the voice to keep it going. And we are at about 8:45. Um, if there is a video you'd like for me to listen to at this time, and obviously appropriate that I can just stream and go from there. Um, yeah, let's go ahead and give it a shot. Throw something out there, and I'll search for it, and let's do a live reaction. And we have until the end of the hour, and I'll try to pace myself through this as well. So if you have something in the chat you'd like for me to look at right now, this will be a first come first serve basis, and we'll go from there. Otherwise, I'm gonna work on a little bit more music, and we'll close out at the top of the hour. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and just make sure everything is still flowing really well. Yes, my mic is still on. Um, yeah, audio still good. So yeah, we are good there. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. See if I can find something else. Hmm. Yep, definitely a lot of things going on here. So you'll see this list. I have a lot of things that I've been working on, things that I had to delay, things that I'm currently working on, and still not quite there. So I see Arnold Hiles. Can you be Tower of Resonance? Good to see you, by the way. Can you be a little more specific? And since you're the first one to comment on that, um, let's find something with Arnold Hiles. Hopefully, a full song that I can listen to and that I can also be a part of, and we'll analyze it together. Oh, sure, yeah, I can do that. Is there a specific piece you'd like for me to do? And while you're doing that, let's let me go ahead and actually let's close this out. Peace in the Valley. I think actually I don't know if I know that one specifically, but yeah, let's go ahead and do a vocal analysis as opposed to a music reaction. And there might be some music reaction as well, but let me see if I can pull it in here. Oh, let's not do that. Yeah, Chandrosky does, if I remember correctly, they do have very similar tones. Though I do kind of remember Chandrosky having a more nasal approach to some of his mid lows, whereas Arnold has a fuller approach, if that works. Jaden, let's see. there are a couple of ways to do that, and I would recommend. So you're talking about singing a low G subharmonics in choir. There are a couple of ways to do that. Is to I would always talk to the choir director first and see if he wants anything down the octave, and then demonstrate it in context, and then go from there. I would not recommend going the I'm just going to sing a G1 route, whether you like it or not, because that sometimes there are choir directors that are like, I don't want that there. Um, at the same time, it might take them by surprise, and it'll be like, hey, I need you to do more of this. So I'll always ask the director first before you show anything. But yeah, a G1 in subs in choir can be very full and can be very powerful as well. So yeah, let me see if I can pull this up. I think what I'll do is I wonder if I can just let's do a where's all my stuff? There we go. I have to go through all this just to get to Logic and React template. So here we have the template, and let me see if I can just grab this really quick. So let's go with Arnold Hiles, Peace in the Valley. And okay, I think this might be it here. So let's go share. We'll copy this really quick. And obviously I'm just going to go ahead and zip this out really quick here so I can get this going. Let's see. Sometimes the downloader isn't so kind, and so I'll try to get this as soon as I can here, and we'll load it into Logic and we'll go from there. So let's go here. Yeah. Are you downloading? There we go. Okay, so now I have it. I'm going to go ahead and drag it here and drop. All right, so here we have it. I'll leave the video right about here so we can see it kind of. It's not really much of a video, so I'll just let it kind of hang out right here. And then let me fan this down so I can pull it back up. All right, so now you have my desktop. Okay, Stella, thank you. Go ahead and put it in the comments as well, and let's see if I can go through this as a reaction video. Yes, I really appreciate that. And Tower of Resonance, yeah, the rolled R's. I think I might know what video you're talking about that. And Susan, thank you. I'm working on another Russian piece. I'm pretty particular about the Russian specifically because I want it to be done a certain way, so I had to delay that project, unfortunately. And the Chesnikov is really good, and so this next is definitely a Rachmaninoff, and I want to make sure that works out really well. So, okay, so let's go ahead and close that, and we'll leave this up on here. So for now, we'll go ahead and do actually, let me go ahead and put it up here. There we go. That's a lot better. Looks a little nicer. Like that. So let's listen to Arnold Hiles with Peace in the Valley. So we'll talk a little bit about music, and we'll talk a little bit about the voice. I will definitely be running overtime, so we'll go for as long as I need to. And if you want to hang out, great. If you have to go, thank you so much. But let's go ahead and evaluate Arnold Hiles really quick here. Wow, yeah, he has such clarity. So we are, I think, I want to make sure. Yeah, we are low C's, right? And that low C is not just a E or where it's fry or anything. This is a very, very clean, very powerful low C, and so much resonance as well. Yeah, you're right. It's slightly sharp.
Well, I'm tired and so weary.
Yeah. So let's take a look at that in terms of his overtones. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a channel EQ here, and then I might even kind of see if I can pull something from it because it's using piano as well. I might not be able to get a clear read on his voice, but let's see if we can kind of focus on his when he comes in and see the difference as well. So what I typically like to do is I like to increase this right here so you can see everything. And then we'll do
Well, I'm tired and so weary, but I must go along till the Lord comes and calls me away. Oh, yes.
yeah, it's so amazing to hear this 2500K in his voice as well as the bass down here. So when you hear
But I must.
yeah, I mean for me being whenever I have to warm up and warm down to get that more of a cut down there for me. But if you notice the 2K area, so 2500, even roughly about 22, which is about the singer's format, 22, 28, depending on where the range is. And if we were to focus only on that range, so I'm going to reduce the Q or increase the Q and boost it up so you can hear just the ring. It might ring a bit too much, so let me know if that might be too much for you. But let's listen to that.
Well, I'm tired and so weary, but I must go along.
So boosting that area, you can definitely hear the cut, and he doesn't need any of that. The warmth between 300 and 500 hertz is typically the pharyngeal space of the pharynx. Sometimes it can be as low as 330, as high as 800. But that typically means that it's an open throat sound. If there's a lot of energy there, you want the resonance to be there and the harmonics to also be there. And sometimes when we're singing, when we go into vocal fry, and this is what I tell my students typically, is that vocal fry is not always beneficial in that it closes off the pharynx. It cuts everything out, right? So that's a C2-ish. And what I'm doing is now my voice is being dampened and I'm cutting off that sound whereas Arnold is just he's resonating, right? This is where he's living in this case, and it's pretty amazing. So I'm going to skip down a little bit here, and let's see if we can listen to a little bit more.
Oh, yes. Well, the morning's so bright, and the lamb is alive, and the night is as black as the sea. Oh, yes, there will be peace in the valley for me someday.
So it's interesting to hear the middle part of his range. So there will be peace. It actually feels like it's it's obviously easy in his voice, but it feels like it's more warm and thicker in terms of the context, and it sounds like it's actually toward the end, the middle part of his range, or even the end of his range. So it's like really interesting to hear that part of it. A lot of basses, especially younger basses, they tend to lighten up too much, and what I don't recommend is to try to push through and try to build like a darker sound, but really just let it go where it needs to go. If it's light, let it be light. If it's darker, let it be dark. But don't try to imitate another voice. In this case, if you're trying to imitate Arnold's voice, it may not be conducive to proper breath control or even singing in general in the middle range as well. So let's listen to that middle top.
There will be peace in the valley for me, oh Lord, I pray. There'll be no sadness, no sorrow, no trouble I'll see. There will be peace in the valley for me. There will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me, oh Lord, I pray. There'll be no sadness, no sorrow, no trouble I'll see. There will be peace in the valley for
All right, all the way down to that. I hear it going down to a G1, but let's go ahead and take a closer look because these headphones are interesting. Yeah, so it sounds like he's going to a G1, though I would not be surprised if it felt like an F1 or F sharp as well. So we can dig in. I don't have perfect pitch, by the way. I'm hearing, and then also the cadence down to a G1 would make the most sense in this case. So what I like to do is, rather than talk about it, let's just take a good look. So this is Melodyne, and we're just going to throw it right on there. And I'm going to see if I can, oh, wait, is that the correct one? No, that's not the correct one. Let's see. Yeah, that's the correct one. So let's go ahead and throw some Melodyne on there. And we're just going to transfer right about here. So it's going to do polyphonic, but I'm going to go ahead and do melodic. Let me see if that gives us anything. So we have here, 67, right. 67, right about there. So he goes to G1, if you can see it right here. There's a G, and that's where his voice is. And so, even though it's interesting when we hear certain voices and we hear certain colors, like it actually yields the harmonics, yields certain ideas. And so, with the way he's singing the G1, I can assure you that he probably has an F1 as well. What I would like to note is that his voice does compress down a little bit. And that typically, if you listen to a lot of bass singers, if we're talking about vocal folds, I don't have. Oh no, you're welcome. Please don't. This is not a hey. I know what note it is. This is more of just, sometimes our ears, like, we hear things, like, even I make all the mistakes in the world. I make note mistakes, dynamic mistakes, everything. So this is there's nothing to be afraid of, and nothing to be worried about. I like to know as well. And so but what I'm talking about is, if you can see this, the voice, right? So when we're singing, let's pretend this is the voice. Let me fold this in a couple of times here. So when we're talking about pedagogy, or when it comes to the voice, if this is our vocal folds, when we sing higher, so if this is like its normal state, right? And when we sing lower, it actually compresses and it goes. And if it compresses too far, you get the vocal fry, because it's not stable. The airflow is now randomized, and pops it's going through. I'm not having proper closure. And even if I was, my pharynx has been compromised. So let me try a couple of things. So yeah, that's like a vocal fry. So the voice just compresses, and now it's unstable. And to go Shab, to talk about, let me see here, any ways to lower your range. So my thoughts for you is to think of airflow over anything else. Do not neglect the lengthening and thickening of your vocal fold, right? Zzz. So thickening is e, ah, ha, e, ah. That's all chest voice. That's thick vocal fold setting with balanced stretching as well. Where it's just stretch, it's more of like a falsetto head voice. E, e, ah, maybe even a mix, if you want to call it that. And that's where the folds are stretched, and they're very loose, and they're free as well, and they're phonating, right? It's not falsetto where it's detached. It's not ha, he, hey, where it's detached. It's he, ah, ooh, where there's some closure. And some might say, is that the same? Head voice falsetto is the same. Just think of it as really just closure and not closed. Yeah, and tower of resonance, you are correct. Is you can really go as high as possible, so long as you are not forcing the mechanism. Yes, you have to stretch, and the stretching doesn't go this way anymore, right? You can't vocal. I have a physical limit of which I can stretch this way. So simply by math, I need, ta-da, a squared, b squared, c squared. I need the C, right? I need to move down. E. Nope, too much. So when I open up, and that's where you also get a nice laryngeal tilt as well, right? Because if it goes this way, I start belting and I start pushing and squeezing. I'm gonna hurt my voice. But if I remember, it's a tilt forward and an opening of the pharynx rather than a constriction, and also staying connected. Gug gug gug. Whoa. Oh. I can maintain that stretch as well while ta-da, lowering the larynx through a tilt rather than a force down, right? I'm not bogging down, weighing down the applying extra pressure where it doesn't need to be. Now there are other things that we can talk about, but which is the lateral part, but that's for another lesson. So yeah, I'm glad that helps. Um, yeah, yeah, theory and everything, and the low voice. There's nothing different from a low voice than a higher voice, with the exception of where it lies and how you need to feel those certain pitches and what needs to resonate. For the most part, balance is all you need, right? So if I'm singing, so a B flat, right? My voice, I've been talking for a while. My voice tends to move up because I'm excited. I like to I don't really care about my pitch when I'm talking. Can be expressive, can be higher, can be a lot lower, wherever it lands, and that's where it lands. But in terms of warming down the voice and allowing that stretch, right, the elasticity of the stretch to the lower pitches, I'm not stretching so much and pulling down, but I'm just feeling the stretch so I can maintain pitch. So if you close your mouth, like that's about that's about an A. Am I going to use a low A? Maybe, maybe not. But right now, I just need to maintain the stretch and the airflow. So I check once in a while with that. And that's a burp, but what I'll do is I'll use that, right. And I allow that to just stretch my folds. And so when I do a vocal fry, I maintain a little bit more integrity and stability. I'm not the best at chest fry or vocal fry or mix down there, but I do allow it to thicken the folds and to just help me so that I'm not pulling and stretching so much that I'm exaggerating and forcing the larynx to do something that's not. So it's really a balancing act. 16, yes, and you're correct. Tower resonance. You know, I am 37, becoming 38, and my issue when I was 16 or even 15 was having a low A, sometimes even a low A flat, but always bogging down, right? And once in a while, I still have that issue because, like, I'm trying to, okay, I want to keep this in my chest, quote unquote, chest resonance so much that I'm willing to sacrifice actual harmonics and resonance in my voice to get that feeling in the ear. And that has to really, that you just have to train yourself out of that. So just remember is this zzz, e, a, to really feel the point in the sound, the stretch forward, the zip forward, if anything, because you're stretching this way to thin out the folds to maintain pitch, but you also need to thicken as well. So it feels like it's so if this is the front, my Adam's apple is right here on this side where I'm pointing, where I'm tapping. So it's gonna zip this way, stretch this way, but I need to thicken and also keep it zip it forward so I can maintain pitch, right? E, e, ah, e, and then when I add so-called compression, when I allow the voice to come together a little bit more, I can maintain a little more integrity. Sorry about that. So about an F. E, O, E, ah. I'm not gonna get it right now. It's gonna take for a while, so I'm not gonna make these noises until I get down there. But I definitely like after a while I'll get it in, right? Zzz, E, ah, E. So I can fry the note. Now I'm adding that length. E, ah. And there you go. Now I'm scraping the F and I'm kind of getting it there. And I'm just keep it in my voice. And I keep it flowing, right? Ah. Ooh. And then from there I can develop resonance or just leave it where it is because I don't typically sing down there anyways. And if I do, I use subs because that's my area of study right now. Let's see here. Yeah, A1 for 34 seconds. I can barely hold anything for 20 seconds, really. So, and A1 for that long that means you got it. Yeah, so when I switch, I always typically switch around D2 or even D flat 2 because that's where I have the most concept, the most harmonic energy equivalence of a trade off between the two, right? So if I'm singing that, I mean, I'm very close to the mic so you can hear it. But if I were to maintain like at least 20 feet away from the microphone, you probably won't be able to distinguish it as a register change per se, but more of just okay, there's something that happened there, but then the harmonic energy maintained itself. So that's how I decided. And usually sometimes I can even do it as high as E flat 2, sometimes as low as B1 or B flat 1, depending on how much chest resonance I need or when I need to change or how much I've been singing in the high range, how long it's going to take me to sing down to the low range and reopen up the bottom part. And sometimes I don't have the time to do that, so I switch at about D2. And we go from there. Obviously, I'm really close to the mic. It's softer, and so the switch is easier. If I needed to be further back, and then I get the octave pops up because the instability, airflow, all of that matters, and so that's how I switch, and that's typically what I do. Yep, the idea is to just hold everything down. Yeah, that's a really really good way to do it. Tower of resonance. You just take your lowest note, sing it a little bit longer, and go from there. So in terms of my stretch, I'm at about a B or C right now, just because I've been talking for the entire hour. And what I do is I have to warm down, I have to find it again, and then stretch, and it'll be back down to like an A or A flat again, and we go from there. But we don't have the time to do that, so I try to keep it, you know, whenever I'm singing, just kind of do like a vocal check every here and there to make sure that I'm maintaining certain integrities in my voice. If I know that it's going to change or sound a certain way, then I don't I really just stay off of the voice for a little bit, and we go from there. Yeah. So very cool. Yeah, Shab. Long tones are amazing, and what you will find that can be also as amazing is staccato. So staccato subharmonics. I don't talk about that often, but that's what I do. And when we so let's do G. So whatever it is that we're doing, I want to make sure that the articulation applies the subharmonic rather than going uh 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 uh. See how I like it? It goes up and then it tries to become a sub. Duh, duh. We have to make sure it starts at the same time. Duh, 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 and it takes some time, right? Even I have to be careful because the subs have to come together at the same time. So yes, I did talk about it in lessons a while back, and if you're welcome to always refer to those. Those 6 lessons are very basic, and there was a series I just started to kind of give everyone an introduction to subharmonics, strobos, etc. Yeah, a phenomenon with C1 and D1. Yeah. And always use consonants. Ha 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 upper octave. Ha 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 ha. And so you just got to mix it all in. Mm-hmm. Exactly. The breath in and the breath out, the inhale and the exhale is everything. You know, I've sung really bad notes, and I just take like a few measures off and just remember. Yeah, and keep it there. And sometimes it comes out great, sometimes it doesn't. So, but it's all about practice, and you just got to go for it. Even with my 15 years now, I think, almost 15 years, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less. Um, I'm not immune to mistakes. I am not immune to issues. You know, I'm still human. I will always have those things to take care of because that's the issue with the technique. C2D2 phenomenon. Are you talking about the feeling? Well, I just if you can clarify, that'd be great. Because there are other things that I sense around C2 and D2, whether we want to call it a vocal break, whether we want to call it a switch to the dominant mode, the M0 mode, sorry, mode M0, or you want to talk about the TA dominant singing, where the folds are really thick and they have only a little bit of length to maintain pitch. There's a lot of phenomenon going on there. There's also resonance loss. Even with Arnold's sound, even though it's so resonant, there is still some loss of length and warmth when you sing down there, because the pharynx has to make some adjustments, and this is also why opera don't have notes that go below D2 or even C2, is simply because of that matter, because the larynx has to maintain some integrity to allow for the concept of bel canto in opera to be justified and to be maintained. And anything below E2 and even D2, you start to lose that integrity for most voices, not all voices, most voices. And That's just what really that's what your composers of the time that's how they felt. It's not to say that they didn't have low notes. It's really to say over an orchestra and from that distance, really an E2 or a D2 in order to have integrity maintained for the majority of voices, not all, for the majority of voices, it's very hard to come by. And so the D2, even the orchestration has to be very light and very soft. If anything, subito piano whenever there's a D2, or whenever the bass sings below a G2, the orchestra is quiet. Sometimes you might get a mezzo forte, but even then, they're pretty much quiet. So if that's the phenomenon you're talking about, then yes. Otherwise, if you can clarify, I'd really appreciate it. And right now, don't mind me, I am just checking in to make sure we are still streaming. Yes, excellent, and still good. And those of you that are hanging out with me right now, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I know there's only a couple of us. This video is live, obviously, but it won't be. It'll be gone. Like I'm just because we're just hanging out. I'll leave it in my archives, obviously, but it's more for you than anything. I really appreciate all the input as well. So with the Patreon and the Discord that I'd like to start within, hopefully in April, maybe late April. That'll be something for all of us, and for you, the listeners that are always commenting and being a part of this. I'd like to give that to you as well. So yeah. hmm Looks like the stream is going pretty well. So do we have any other questions? I know we're coming up about an hour and 30. I think at about in a couple of minutes here, I'll go ahead and end the session. But if you have anything else you'd like for me to kind of overview, otherwise I'll just give you concluding remarks and we'll go from there. So. Oh, okay, yeah. It registers as sharp because so when we talk about a change, a break, you may have heard Peter and I talking about that area having its um, change, and it happens so much more. Even whether it's C#1, C#2, or C1, C2. If you're talking about subharmonics, it's sharp mostly because of the way the bow on a string, when you press the bow on the string, it it sharps the string as well, right? Like if you add more pressure on a string instrument, it also so the weight of the bow also makes it sharp, even though it feels that. So if you're talking about that phenomenon, then yeah, that can be part of it. Our tuning, our register change, that will register sharp. It could also be that our ears like to hear certain overtones, and even though the pitch is right on, the overtones, if we're talking about just intonation versus true, or just intonation versus whatever the other one is. I can't even think right now, and I'm a music teacher, right? Um, that tuning, those overtones tune a certain way. So if you have absolute pitch, sometimes it'll feel slightly off, and so yeah. But there is another. So there's a lot that attributes to that phenomenon, and one part of it is that your larynx, your muscles, typically the CT muscles, cricothyroid, and the arytenoid, the thyroarytenoid, sorry, TA muscles, which is the thickness of the folds, and the cricothyroid, which is stretching. It has, even though they're both working simultaneously and around each other and together and apart from each other at the same time, and they're always doing that. When you get to about F2, E2, maybe even D2, depending. The vocal folds have to give way from being stretched out to becoming thicker. And as it becomes thicker and thicker, the pharynx automatically loses space. And that's why you have to open up those upper harmonics to gain its to gain that projection. Most singers and most teachers will tell you you need you need to brighten, it needs to cut, because if you don't, and if you try to maintain length, you lose all that cut and you lose all your pitch. So the cut sometimes and the switch over to the thicker folds can sometimes make it sharp as well. And yeah, and like you said, 32 to 34 hertz is a big leap, because even a slight vibrato, right? Very slight. We're talking about 1 hertz of vibrato can be the difference between a quarter step for a bass, right? 55 hertz and 60 hertz, that's 5 hertz, 5 cycles of a difference. And that can be the difference between an A and a B, a whole step, typically. And so, yeah, that's the idea. And the final question, I know we are right at 30, but when you hear vocals in recordings where the low notes are so clear, how much clearer that tone is magic of EQ. A lot of it is EQ. At the same time, there are some that can cut through. Like, for example, Arnold Hiles, obviously, he is mic'd closer than usual. At the same time, if you listen to the resonance and the weight of his voice, as well as all the harmonics in his voice, he probably will have the cut that you want in a choir. And so in a room, he may very well give you the cut like a profundo's or an octavist's cut. In terms of Jeff, I'd have to listen to him more. Based on his low notes, he might have a solid C2, and it may even cut pretty well, but it may not be as loud and as clear as we compare it to. And that's not to say that he can't do it. It's just to say that if he were to sing the same way he sang on mic, off mic, it probably wouldn't cut through. So, yeah, if you're talking about that phenomena, and it really has to do with the ears and the tuning of the overtones, and so we can't. I was talking with my colleague about lower notes, and he was saying, when you really think about it, we typically don't really hear the fundamental. We feel the fundamental after a certain point. And so even though we feel like we can hear 32 hertz, and in our voices or even in our ears, for the most part, the upper tones, the harmonics that register in our ears, do more to the fundamental itself than the actual fundamental. The fundamental actually don't even need to be there if you think about it, right? Like let's go ahead and use this right now. Arnold Hiles, since I'm here is the fundamental. So let's push play. Right, I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna put a high pass. Let's do a really strict steep one, and I'm gonna cut it all the way to 500 hertz, and you'll still be able to hear the fundamental, the C2, right, that he's singing. So let's go to the beginning. Yeah, so that's a C2, and even though I cut all the information out below 500 hertz, it's still there. So yeah, thank you so much. Have a great night, and oh yeah, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yep. So the music from the 20s is just amazing. But thank you. I will also be signing off. Those of you that hang out with me all the way through, thank you for your input, and thank you for your continued patronage. And so there will be a couple of changes, and I'll be adding more and everything. So Stella, feel free to comment. You can send me a message as well regarding the video that you would like. I am always open to that. So I really appreciate you being here and contributing to this. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you all next time. And hopefully I can add something. Spiky, hello. I think hopefully you were here. I'm at the tail end of my of my presentation. We're wrapping everything up, but you are always welcome to send me a message, comment, and do that, and comment anywhere, and let me know if you have any input. Just sum everything up. There will be future videos. There will be a new Patreon for this specific YouTube channel, and I can focus more on things that you like for me to do rather than just opening it up to the audience. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you all next time.